Hey guys, Jordan West back with another episode of Secrets to Scaling Your E-commerce Brand. First, I just want to say, before I get into what today's episode is going to be all about and the hook and all that kind of stuff to make you guys listen, I just want to say thanks. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks for being a part of this community. Thanks for reaching out to me. The amount of people that reach out to me on LinkedIn to say thanks for this podcast really keeps me going. You guys are the ones that actually keep me going doing this, which is kind of crazy because it's a lot of work. I don't know if you guys know, hosting a podcast is actually a lot of work. Going through and editing and all of that kind of stuff is a lot of work, but I love it. And that feedback just keeps me going. Thanks to all of you who reach out to work with us at Upgrowth Commerce as well. It's crazy how much we've grown and the amount of companies that we've helped grow this year in such a difficult year. It makes me incredibly proud of our team and what we've put together. So today's episode is part 2 of our Black Friday, Cyber Monday series. I don't know how many this is going to be. So I said 2 of 5. We'll see. It could go beyond that. So we're getting into number 2 today. You guys are not going to want to miss this one. Hey guys, Jordan West back with another episode of Secrets to Scaling Your E-commerce Brand. Guys, we are back in Black Friday, Cyber Monday mode, and I am looking forward to getting back into it. In our last episode, if you did not listen to our last episode, please stop this episode, go back to the next one. All of this is going to be building on each other, right? All of the stuff that we talk about is going to be building on the previous one. So stop this episode, go back to the previous BFCM episode. It'll be BFCM 1 of we don't know how many, because we're going to get as much information out to you as possible for you to be as successful as possible with BFCM. I'm going to do a quick review of what we talked about last time. Last time we talked all about those foundational sort of things, right? Planning for a longer sales period, leveraging a bunch of data to identify the best products for your offer, crafting an irresistible offer, and then setting your holiday shipping strategy, right? All of this kind of stuff is incredibly important. Well, today we're going to be talking all about organizing your sales. We're going to be talking about rewarding loyal customers. There's all sorts of stuff that we're going to be talking about in here. I'm going to have some tips and tricks that have worked for me and my brands, worked for the brands that we work with at Upgrowth Commerce. Yeah, it's going to be a lot. Before I get into that, guys, I just wanted to say thank you again. And I know I'm like constantly in thanking mode, but thanks everyone who reaches out to us on the website or LinkedIn or Twitter or any of those places. It's incredible to see how many brands we've been able to help at Upgrowth Commerce this year. It is phenomenal seeing some of you and some of the success that you have had. We had an email from a client this morning, a bit of a smaller client on our side, but one that we could really see that growth potential with. And they just said, hey, we had no clue we would ever hit $1 million in a year. And when we came to you, you didn't promise us anything. And yet they're at an over $1 million run rate, which is just phenomenal for this brand. I think it's tripled since they started working with us. And yeah, I don't know. It just makes that kind of stuff is what makes me happy. It still makes me happy to help brands grow from 15 to 25 million. That is great too. But this, for some reason, just, it was like, yeah, this is what it's all about for us. This is why we do this. This is why I do the podcast. When you guys reach out and let me know how much you've grown and that you implemented some of the strategies and tactics from this podcast, that is what it's all about for me. So let's get into it here. Let's get into the tips and tricks today for BFCM 2023. We're going to be talking about your loyal customers to start. You guys know you have loyal customers. You have customers that repeat purchase all the time. One of our brands, Little and Lively, we have got a customer, I think she's up to like 70 purchases right now. We've got like 50 people that are at that level. Sorry, we have somebody who's purchased from us like 280 times. It's just crazy, right? You need to reward those loyal customers. These are the people who are your advocates. They are always going to advocate for you. So make sure to give them something special. Give them early access. Give them a better discount. Give them perks that they can send to their friends and family. Give them referral codes. Give them bonus points as part of your customer loyalty program, right? All of these different things can be incredible for your bottom line at the end of the day, because remember, these are not just loyal customers. These are your brand advocates. These are the people who do the marketing for you. And that, my friends, is crazy to have people like that doing those kinds of things. So yeah, definitely recommend doing something incredibly special for your loyal customers. Let's talk about your upcoming sales, okay? I think that this is really interesting and something to really talk about. So number 2 today is actually organizing your sales. Now, it's very difficult for somebody like me because I am not an organized person, but I have to be organized to stay sane. I don't know if you guys know, like when I'm doing these podcast episodes, I have thoughts here, I have thoughts here. I love like talking about all these things, but what I have is a superpower, and it's my assistant. Noreen, if you're listening to this, you are my superpower because she helps me actually put the pieces together. So if you're a head in the clouds visionary type person like I am, please find somebody like that in your life. It will change your life. If you are that kind of person who just has a billion ideas but can't ever get anything done, do that. So that's where organization comes in, right? I like to have a planned sales map. I use a Google Sheet for all this kind of stuff, and I think that it's super great, super important to have something, right, where all of this lives. If that's on some kind of Google Doc or Google Sheet, that's great. But really make sure you actually plan out your sales and give visibility to your whole team. One of the core values at Upgrowth is that we are transparent and we give visibility. And so what that means is like, hey, we want to make sure that everyone can actually see what we're talking about. It's part of communication, right? This visibility for your team. Even if you're a small team, I know that there's some smaller brands who listen to this. Even if you're a smaller team, like a husband and wife duo, make sure that you guys all have visibility on what you're doing, where the promos are happening, when you're sending an SMS, an email, tap card notification, any of these kinds of things in there. Your post pilot, right? You guys know I'm a big post pilot fan. Really make sure that you're inputting those date ranges for the promos and that everything is just crystal clear. Does that mean that you cannot pivot if things aren't going well? No, of course you can pivot. Pivot away, guys, pivot away. But you can't pivot off of something that isn't defined. So make sure that you first define it and that it's incredibly clear, right? Make sure that you schedule the rollout of that promotional messaging around each one of those promos. Make sure that you have that master document. Guys, that document to me is worth just hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's incredibly, incredibly important. So make sure that you're planning your sales. You know, you might be rolling your eyes being like, oh, wow, George, thanks a lot. Yeah, plan my sales. But seriously, a lot of you are not actually, you've got an idea in your head, but it's not necessarily down on paper, right? So that's my recommendation. You guys can skip through that part there if that wasn't helpful for you. But I am going to be having a few more no-brainer things like this in this episode. So you might just want to turn it off if that's the case. I'm just kidding. Don't turn it off. All right, let's talk about your top sales channels, right? So I imagine that most of you in 2023 have gone to different sales channels. Maybe that's Amazon. Maybe that's, we're in a bunch of really interesting stores up here in Canada with one of our brands. We're in Indigo. We're in Hudson's Bay. We're in a bunch of like interesting big retailers here. If those retailers are pushing a lot of business for you, most of them are going to be running BFCM promos. And if they're running BFCM promos, make sure that you are updating them with the prices that you're okay with them selling. If one of those sales channels is doing well, then leverage it, right? Now, remember, I'm sure that lots of you were on TikTok shops. That might be a massive sales channel. I know it's been huge for a lot of brands. We're in the midst of setting that all up for our American brands. Unfortunately, it's not into Canada yet. But again, when we're talking about sales channels, let's also get into some of your marketing channels as well. If you have done incredibly well with Meta up until now, please don't stop. Please don't stop. If people tell you like, oh, it's just too expensive to market during this time, like, yeah, it's expensive. But if it's working, continue to do it. It's really, really important that you do that, right? Don't get rid of all of your budget just because it's an expensive time to advertise. It's expensive for everyone, but you need to be in front of your customer. It's incredibly important that you do that. Again, this is something that I talk about an absolute ton. So remember, double down on what's working. The 80-20 principle, right? Whatever that 20% of things that is causing 80% of your revenue, double down on it. That is all I got to say about that. Now, let's talk about our retargeting. This is very, very interesting, right? So number one, I really hope you've got your pixels set up with every one of those, every platform, TikTok, Pinterest, Meta, Google. Make sure all of that is set up so that you can actually remarket. If it's not, go back to episode 1 of this podcast, 500 episodes ago, and we'll walk you through all of that. But this is really the time. Oh, again, post-pilot, really, really great one. Also during this time to be able to send out. Really, really interesting. So remember that retargeting these past visitors and customers, this is the time, right? If they are price sensitive, this is the absolute time to start retargeting them. I love getting as much data as I can, taking data from Sendlane or Klaviyo or any of that kind of stuff, putting it into the ad platforms so that you can retarget these people, maybe opening your email list up a little bit. And we'll get into that in another episode. But being able to slowly open that email list up to other customers, I think is incredibly, incredibly important. So really focus on retargeting during this time. This is the time where people have their wallets open. Have I said that yet? This is the time where people have their purse strings open. Have I said that yet? I'm going to try not to be so annoying on the next episode. But really, guys, this is an incredibly important time to get those retargeting audiences dialed. I know a lot of people are like, broad, Facebook will take care of it. Yes, and let's also have a lot of budget that's going to go towards retargeting people who have been to your site throughout the year and haven't purchased, because it's really, really important that we segment those people out during this time specifically. And that will make you, that alone right there will make you an extra $100,000. So guys, if this was helpful, please hit that subscribe button, specifically on Spotify. We're seeing a lot of people coming through Spotify, which makes me super, super happy. So that's that, everyone. So that is our second episode in our Black Friday Cyber Monday series. We will be having many, many more in the series, so stay tuned. Remember, guys, these are principles, right? These are principles that don't just apply at BFCM. These are principles for running your business in a profitable way. Again, I just want to say thanks one more time to everybody who listens to this. I want to say thanks to all of you who have reached out to work with us at Upgrowth. To me, that is just phenomenal. I love helping brands succeed. It's one of the things that makes us incredibly happy. So, one of the things that you will be seeing on my back wall here at sometime soon is our Upgrowth Commerce Agencies Suck logo. Do I think that all agencies suck? Absolutely not. There's some incredible agencies out there. Do the vast majority of agencies suck? Yes. The reason being they don't know how to be partners with their brands that they work with. And I think that's one unfair advantage that we have. It really is an unfair advantage that we own brands, right? The unfair advantage is we sit in the brand owner's seat at all times, right? At all times, we're like, okay. When our team comes to me with an idea, I'm like, well, no, I don't think that's going to help a brand owner, right? It might have been a great idea for the agency, but not necessarily great for the brand owner. And so I think that that's where the success comes from. Anyways, I'm rambling, everyone. And I know anyways isn't a word. I know it's anyway. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Again, if you haven't listened to episode 1, head back to episode 1. There is some nuggets in there, and there will be more where this came from. Thanks, guys.